So Clive, welcome. Evening.
Thank you. Good evening.
So you had rather a milestone in the last week or so. Go on.
I managed to knock in my first century break. 104 clearance.
Fantastic.
After how many years?
4?
4 years and 2 weeks. Should we call it that? Because I think it's the most important is we differentiate between the 2 weeks and the 4 years that went before it.
Yeah, so the 4 years got us to the point where it took 2 weeks to knock.
It was an overnight success. It took 4 years. Yeah.
So tell me about the process. What happened?
Well, really, and that's what I say, it was the 2 weeks of having the cat. Because before then, as you know, we've been working on all sorts of things of creating that straight delivery, and there's been a consistent problem of something to do with my grip or my wrist, where on delivery there's a tendency to move it one way or the other. And,
motorcycle maintenance.
That kind of thing, revving the bike up, and I've been aware of it. I've done things like put extenders on the cue, so that I'm cueing with out here, so I can magnify
feedback,
the error,
yeah.
feedback, etc. And it really seemed that when I was cueing one problem, another problem would arise. So if I cued the lateral problem or reduced it, then all of a sudden the sort of up-down movement became an issue. So it's just basically working in this 360-degree error zone that was just trying to reduce that to a straight delivery.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, I think because of not having, if you like, the courage of my conviction on cue delivery, there was always that tendency to hold the cue back, not follow through properly, sort of hedge on potting, hedge on position, and just generally do everything possible to reduce the chances of success on potting and position. Thinking I'm doing right, but actually doing wrong.
So what you're saying is you get down, right, I'm going to play the yellow, and right, we're in position, I'm on the line of aim, whoops, the cue's going on an arc.
Yeah, so hang on, what is the line of aim at that point? There is no line of aim because I'm not sure exactly where things are going, I'm not sure where things are pointing. And so
you can never be sure where the cue's pointing, so you never know if you're on the line of aim.
Yeah, and even if I know where the cue's pointing, I don't know I'm going to deliver the cue on that line that it's currently pointing, because between the backswing and the delivery, there could be a bit of movement, there could be a bit of grip, there could be.
And that's if you're on the line of aim to start with. And where's that?
Yeah.
You don't know because there are too many variables in your action to isolate it down.
So how can I deliver the cue confidently with all of these unknowns going on? Impossible.
Right.
Just not going to happen. And then this baby came along, and within 5 days of using it, I had increased my highest break from 95 to 98. So that's another 3 points. Tantalisingly close to that magical century, and then a week later, 104 clearance. So I've seen a steady increase in a number of different areas that have all kind of conspired towards greater confidence on shot selection, shot execution, and so many things have fallen into place.
So what are those areas then that have impacted you?
Really knowing at what point in my cue action I'm liable to move off. Because the thing that this thing does wonderfully well is to give immediate feedback at very precise points in the delivery. So by making sure that I'm on a line and I can approach it on a line and nothing's moving particularly. And I know we've got the balls to sort of go on the top here to use that as a test, just to get that sort of level of feedback. But to be able to do that, now I know that where the line is. But cueing back, I can see that already I've moved off.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the difference between here and here is what? 1/4 of an inch on the butt of the cue.
And you just can't feel that.
Can't feel it. Absolutely no way would I be able to detect that level of precision or
Right.
inaccuracy
Right.
at at the butt end. And so being able to move out and go, okay, well there, it's there, okay, that's there. So this is now the right line. That's good, and I can deliver the cue, and it's not going to one side. If I start doing the motorcycle grip, I can see it immediately.
Yeah.
Now that feels like nothing at the back here, but it's so obvious at the front.
Right. So did you find that going through this process helped you become aware and translate these micro movements into movements you're consciously aware of and that you can feel now?
Well, yes, but I don't think that's the entire story. I think because the feedback is so obvious and immediate,
Yeah.
that your muscle memory builds automatically. So there is no conscious effort that says, oh, I've just moved my wrist here or there. It's the feedback is showing me that something has moved. What do I need to move to get that right?
Okay. Or what do you need to feel to move it through the legs properly?
Yes. Yeah.
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 Because it's all about feeling. You can't see what the backhand is doing.
No.
You can only see, well, about the front half of the cue.
Correct. You can see the effect of what the backhand's doing.
Yeah.
But whether that's moving here
Yeah.
because of arm or wrist or grip or a combination of all three is impossible to tell.
The interesting thing is that, and especially with players at your stage, up to 100 break standard, let's say, is you've got to be watching the balls.
Yes.
The professional, they're not that concerned with the balls anymore because they know it's going in. It's
Yeah.
sort of
They know where the cue ball's going.
they're
know
fluent
lines.
with it.
Yeah.
So therefore, that kind of blocks the channel, the awareness channel, from feeling. You can't pay attention to what your hand feels like
No.
if you're obsessed about what the balls are doing.
Well, and similarly, you can't pay attention to what the balls are doing if all your concentration is what
Yeah, and
your
they've got to be the
elbows do.
priority.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's what I found, that this, by training this, and it's not a case I've been doing hours on this, 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day,
Wow.
something of that nature.
Amazing.
With the different modes, with the sort of possible mode, but principally that am I queuing straight mode, but using that as the way of for the feedback mechanism.
Yeah.
And I just noticed a massive difference, and it's manifested itself in a number of ways, let alone knocking the break in.
Yeah.
But also I found that I needed to re-evaluate my positional choices, because all of a sudden I was queuing through the cue ball further. My follow-through was much longer.
Why?
Because of confidence. Because at no point was my brain questioning whether I was queuing straight, because this was saying I'm queuing straight. This is good.
You've got the feeling.
I've
You
now
know the
got
feeling of straight queuing.
Yeah. I've now got a permission slip to be able to follow the follow through with the cue.
Yeah. So it's almost like, if you're walking past a field and you've got an electric fence either side, you're going to be walking hesitantly if you think you'll touch both sides. Yeah. And
Whereas if you know those are off,
well, yeah.
and you know that you're only going to walk in a perfectly straight line.
Yeah. You wouldn't be bothered.
It's like a tightrope walker, isn't it? They know that they can walk across that tightrope. It doesn't matter what the height is. They know they can do that. Whereas we'd fall off.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a very similar thing to that. But because there was the confidence there, I found that I was following through with the cue. So I was getting much more action on the cue ball, which needed a bit of recalibration. Once I'd got that sort of in place, I also found that potting angles became, how do I put this, almost automatic. So I wasn't having to think about backs of the ball and contact points. All that thing was still happening, but the ball was going in. I knew the ball was going in while I was standing up on the shot. I knew that I was going to pot those balls.
That's really interesting, because one of our biggest battles together in your game was the aiming, and cut a very long story short, I think what this has shown, looking from the outside, correct me if I'm wrong, is that for you, and some players are the other way around, some players, they need to know what the potting angle is, then their cueing improves.
Right.
But for you, it seems that once your cueing improved, you needed your cueing to improve first, to then be able to read the angles properly. Would that
Yes,
be
yeah.
accurate?
Yeah.
And that just occurred to me yesterday, and I'd never thought of it in that way before.
Right.
But I think it's valid in this case.
But I mean, to continue that two-model discussion, so the model that says, I need to learn the potting angle and then my cueing will improve. Well, if your cueing is so variable and inconsistent, which mine obviously was, and I'm not talking, massive, just little bits
Better
aside.
than most.
Thank you. Little bits aside, flicked on here and there, a bit snatchy, a bit sort of stabby, all those sort of variables. It impacts upon the contact with the object ball,